Yo, 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 yo. We are back at it for another episode of Big Homies Podcast. I'm your co-host, Coach C Bell in the building.
With your boy TFletch500. Let's go. Let's do this.
TFletch500. We back
We
for
back
another
at it.
episode, man. Another episode. Good to see you, my boy. How you
It's good
doing?
to see you, man. Spectacular, man. It's always a blessing to see that face on the screen. Look at you shining.
Ray Charles can see
He said Ray Charles can see it. I love it. I love
it.
it.
Hey, salute to you, man. Always special when I can get together with my bro, my day one. We've been down for so long, man, and we're gonna run it up with this podcast, and we got another good episode today.
Let's do it. Hey, it's time to rock, man. And I just want to give a special shout out to you for producing the hell out of this show, man. The music choices, the music selection is off the chain. I never thought I would get so many responses about our podcast. I got something to do with music, man. So good job. Keep the good work up.
Hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing it.
Signs of geniusness.
I'm I'm learning on the job,
I
on the
love it.
job learning, and I'm adding to my resume. So all those out there that's looking, you looking for an editor, you looking for a director of podcast, I'm your man. Hit me up.
Let's do
Hey,
it.
hey, like we always say, man, let us be your manager. Hey, so what's up, Coach? You've been watching these playoffs, man. These playoffs is getting intense. We're moving on to the conference finals, man.
And then there were four. Yeah.
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 The NBA Final Four.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody projected the East, but the West is a head-to-head battle that we've been looking for all season long. And I think we're watching a future rivalry because the bigs in this matchup on the West do not get along. And I'm all about the spiciness. I'm all about the spicy. I want any kind of beef. I want all the smoke, all of that. So I'm dying to see this matchup, and I honestly think whoever come out of the West, I mean, you might as well watch the whole series because that's going to be the NBA champion in my eyes.
Yeah, real talk. I think the West is a very strong conference. Obviously, like you said, San Antonio and OKC about to go at it. The bigs head to head. They got a long history dating back to the World Games. You know, Team USA playing against Team France with Chet Holmgren versus Wimbiana. So I'm looking forward to this matchup. I'm looking forward to them getting at it, watching this, and I think it's gonna go. I'm gonna say it, man. I think it's gonna go 7 games. I think it's gonna go 7 games.
So
And I will
OKC
say,
undefeated.
yeah, I know, I get it, but at the same time, you said I think this is gonna be a rivalry. I think it's already there. It's already
Okay.
there. It's on site with these teams from the jump.
So yeah, Wimby, Wimby ain't afraid to say it with his chest, and he's like, "Yo, we beat these dudes like 4 times this season. I think 3 out of 4 to be specific, but don't quote me on that." And so I feel like they're walking in with a chip on their shoulder. And where is your boy from OKC? What's his name? And I love the fact Chet Holmgren. I love the fact that you predicted at the end of last year, Chet Holmgren as a Hall of Famer. I was like, really? He was like, yo, this kid got a special talent, man. He gonna be a Hall of Famer. Do you know where Chet is from?
He's either, oh, I don't want to butcher this. I think he's might be from South Dakota
Okay. All right.
or North Dakota, one of those two.
Right,
I'm not
right.
sure. Please forgive me, Chet. I got to do my history of where you from. And it's funny, I've been watching Chet online since he was in high school. Obviously, he was a big time high school talent. So I got the chance to watch him. Now there's so many streaming services now with the baller TVs and all that stuff. So watching him in high school, I guess that's how I kind of could see where his game was going to and what it could be. And he's only scratching the surface. I mean, this guy's in his early 20s. The sky's the limit for him, as well as Wimby. I think that because of Wimby being 7'4", and he's been able to do some really special things. And I think that Chet came in a wonderful situation where he got drafted with guys, joined guys that were young there. I'm not saying he's gotten overshadowed, but he doesn't get the press that Wemby gets, but he certainly deserves press because he's an amazing talent, and I can't wait to watch. Like you said, I can't wait to watch these bigs go at it in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, man, it's something about OKC and how they loaded up their roster. And I have two OKC questions for you. I know we gotta, keep it pushing, but is you had the blessing of being able to see the now two-time MVP, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. When you coached him his rookie year, or when you were on the coaching staff his rookie year, did you know that he would get to this level of greatness? And what set him apart in the training facility, in the practice facility that made you understand? Because you was the first person to ever tell me about him before he became SGA. You was the very first person to bring him up to me. How did you know that he was gonna be this type of talent?
Well, I'll start with that. With SGA, it starts with his confidence, and you can tell when a person has, excuse me, you can tell when a person has fake confidence, where it's not backed by anything. You know, he walked a certain way. He had a certain aura about him. So from day one, we were able to get him, and he walked in the first day in the practice facility. He had a certain step to him and a certain walk to him. Had his hand up high, looked people in the eye. He just had a swagger to him. And I'm always, checking out and I'm very observant as a person. So I'm like, okay, this kid is a little bit different. His energy is different. So let me check him out. And I just saw the way that he worked. And to me, it wasn't fake confidence because it was backed by something that's backed by work ethic. And you can only fake for so long with work ethic. You know, a lot of times you might see an athlete that first week, they in that weight room. They doing what they got to do. They on the court or the field or whatever sport they in, and it's like, okay, week two, a little bit less. Week three, a little bit more less. Week four, a little less. It's like, he was just doing that for the intro. But
Right.
if anything, with SGA, it intensified. It was like he was addicted to the game of basketball. He was addicted to getting better. He was just addicted to to improving his game, and it just says a lot about the young man. And he didn't do the stuff that you expect typical young player, especially 19, to do, and that was be very, very mature for his age, take his craft very seriously, and he's not a type of player that he didn't party or nothing like that. He had a girlfriend that's his wife now, and it was like outside of that, when he did step away, he was just chilling with his girl. He was just chilling with his girl, and he was the type that he did his training in the morning up until midday, and he was back in the gym at night, and he did that every day. And to do that as a rookie coming in, sometimes, and you'll hear guys say it, it takes some guys their second and third year to get that type of mentality. And he came in with it, so I knew that he was going to be special.
One thing that I want to bring up that you mentioned, especially for you young hoopers out there, the one thing that you mentioned when you was telling me about SGA, you was like, "Yo, this dude is always in the gym." The coaching staff used to have to take his shoes away from him so he wouldn't go back on the court to practice. I remember you telling me that. So work ethic means everything. Make sure you grinding when nobody's watching, and let the work speak for itself.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing we mentioned before, you have to keep in mind, Shea Gilgis wasn't a guy that was a childhood phenom. He built his game. You heard the stories. He tried out for maybe even the JV team. I don't even know if it was a varsity. I have to fact check that, but he didn't make it. But one thing that he took from it, he didn't take it as like I'm going to cry about it. He took it as I'm going to prove these people wrong. The people that passed up on me, I'm going to prove them wrong. And I'm going to show them who I'm going to be. And he just grinded and grinded. He goes to prep school, and I believe it was in Mississippi it was. And he just kept getting better and better. And, at the final hour, John Calipari, when he was at Kentucky, they signed him. and he didn't come in with a lot of fanfare. He wasn't a McDonald's All American. He had guys in his class coming in that were far more highly talented, but he came in there, took advantage of the opportunity, and just kept getting better and better and better. And, got himself where he was a draft pick. And pretty much he hasn't looked back, and the rest is history. So to those young players out there, keep grinding. It doesn't matter where you're ranked at. It doesn't matter that you're not a McDonald's All American. It doesn't matter that you're not highly recruited. Just keep working on your craft and doing what you do every day and stay consistent. And that's one thing with Gildress Alexander. He stayed consistent with his work ethic, and it was quality work ethic.
Yo, I want to everything, literally everything you just said in the last 10 to 15 seconds. I want to make sure that we give a big shout out to the Knight family. Malachi Knight is one of those guys that I think is the definition of hard work, and his hard work is paying off. Just got a scholarship. I think it was to Southern Indiana, but Westchester alum. He the son of Eric Knight and Billy Knight. Comes from a great family, and big congratulations to you, man. I love the hard work that you've been putting in, man, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it pay off.
Yeah,
Um,
shout out to the Knight family. I played with his father, Eric Knight, at Westchester High School. He was class of '99. He was 2 years ahead of me, and I'm really happy for Malachi. He's one of those guys that I've run into several times training my players, and where he's in the gym, and he's in the gym working with his dad, and he's going to be one of those kids that are a success story that none of these Division I recruits were knocking on that door.
yep.
And in a couple years from now, with this transfer portal, they're going to want him because he can score the ball. He's athletic. He's a Division I player, and he's going to have a tremendous amount of success. So, congratulations to that young man. It's amazing, just like how you talked about this OKC team. It's just so deep, and I gotta say it, man. Shout out to Sam Presti.
For real.
We gotta come up with a nickname for Sam Presti, like something that exudes wisdom and
The Oracle. He's the
yeah,
Oracle.
yeah, yeah.
He's the
The
Oracle, fam.
Oracle, Sam Presti, the Oracle, man. His leadership has been tremendous. He comes from Greg Popovich's tree. He used to be in San Antonio for many years, and he branched out and he started his own. And might I say, might I ask, are we witnessing a potential dynasty about to happen here with the OKC? And Sam Presti, his leadership, his ability to put the best evaluators together. I would love to go out to Oklahoma City and spend a couple of days there just to see how they do things in the front office, just to see how they do things on a daily basis, because success is not something that just randomly happens. It's because an organization they're all on one page and they're doing things the right way and they're staying consistent day in and day out. And it starts from the top. SGA has been amazing, like we talked about. And I also want to stop here and give a special congratulations to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is now the two-time NBA MVP. He was just awarded the MVP award just recently, and I just want to give a special shout out to him and his family for receiving that award. I believe he's the 14th player in NBA history to repeat as two-time back-to-back MVP of the league. Man, what a honor for a guy that got it out the mud and is continuing to have success in the league.
So we got the draft coming up in the middle of June, and I'm excited to see it because this draft is loaded with potential. Like if you're able to get a top five, possibly top 10 pick, you could possibly have a franchise player, somebody that can change your organization for the next 10 years, So I think it's important if you're not in the top five or top 10 and you have a chance to move up in the draft, it's possible. And I know that Utah is dying to get their hands, on their Utah cat, Jay, and they got the number two pick. And so I'm excited to see what happens there. Um, it's a couple of guys in this draft that I think that are even outside the top 10 that'll be franchise players. What do you think about this upcoming draft? Who do you think are the top three picks? You always have your predictions and your mock drafts. And then also, is there anybody that's not possibly in the top five or top six that you think that can be a franchise player?
Well, I think that this with this draft, we're seeing one of the most loaded drafts. Like I can't remember in recent years a draft that, in terms of talk, come with so much talent. And what I like about it is it's a lot of talent coming from American born players from the college level. So to see these guys come from AAU to go make impact as freshmen has been amazing. And it's been a lot of talk of AJ Debansa, a guy that played at BYU, played his high school ball in Utah at Utah Prep. Guys like the Cameron Boozer, who's the son of Carlos Boozer, longtime NBA player, former Duke player. You got Darius Acuff that played at Arkansas. You got Keaton Wagler, the combo out of Illinois. You got Kingston Fleming, played at Houston, the freshman point guard. So you got a lot of really good 18, 19, 20-year olds. Burries from Arizona, California kid. So it's been really fun and exciting. First of all, I really enjoy watching these guys play in college and compete at the high level. That they made March Madness so fun and exciting. But with this draft, like I think teams are really sitting in those offices daily and being very, very careful and strategic in how they can move because I believe that you're going to have in this particular draft, a couple of stars come out of it, maybe a few, and I think it's one of those drafts no matter what, despite who goes where, you're going to have somebody in a later pick outside of like the top five that ends up being really special. That's what I also love about it because I like to also look back at drafts and say, "Damn, man, he was in that draft. He probably should have been top three, and he didn't." So one of the guys that I believe that is a guy that could win Rookie of the Year, and also a guy that you can look back, 5 years from now, and we say, "Damn," is Caleb Wilson. Caleb Wilson played at North Carolina, was an immediate impact freshman there, and from day one at Carolina, if you look back, he changed their program. He had them playing at a high level. They were playing really well. Unfortunately, he had went down with an injury, and that kind of hurt North Carolina and dampened their season. But if he had was able to stay healthy with North Carolina, they probably would have made it to the Final Four, in my opinion. Caleb Wilson is a special talent. Another guy that I had the opportunity to spend time around from the time he was in high school and also preparing for going to North Carolina and watching his work ethic. It's we talked about Shea Gilgeous-Alexander earlier. Well, he's the same way. Another gym rat, another guy that is in the gym 2 to 3 times a day, takes his craft seriously, and he said it the other day, and I'm loosely paraphrasing here, that if the team that takes me, I'm going to change your franchise. I'm going to change the culture. So when you have guys that are 19, years old talking like that, they understand the importance, and they also want to win, and they're going to come in with no BS. They're going to come in from day one, showing you through their work ethic, not just through their what they say. They're showing you through your work ethic, and you want guys like that in your franchise because it becomes contagious. And when a team drafts a player, they're drafting them to play them. All right, they drafted them to put the ball in their hand. They're drafting them to be the leader. So what happens is the other players that are on the team, if they're not down with that, they get rooted out. And that's something that can change the organization. And what I like about um, drafting a Caleb Wilson, he's a guy that's going to have so much influence on your organization. So to me, I think he's the guy. Although he's predicted to go top 3 to 5, but you never really hear him talked about being number one like a AJ is being talked about. And if you ask me, Caleb Wilson is every bit as good as, if not better, than AJ. I mean, I look at Caleb Wilson as a guy that has Kevin Garnett type intangibles in terms of, being 6'11", mobile. can face you up, score, athletic, can back you down, or can play, can guard 1 through 5, plays with a tremendous amount of energy and intensity that he brings to the game. It really reminds me of a young Kevin Garnett, man, and that's what the fans want to see, and that's what people want to see. So, teams better look very careful into Caleb Wilson because I think he's going to be a franchise changer.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with you, man, because it's a boatload of talent in this draft. But Caleb Williams is something special. One person, I mean, just because you were full of positive, I guess I'll play bad cop. Um, Two people in this draft that are high picks that kind of worry me as a GM, if I'm a GM or a president, that give me, cause for pause, is the top three picks. AJ seems like he's a bona fide deal, but a lot of times we see players get drafted to franchises that don't necessarily have a structure or they aren't built right from the top down. And that's the beautiful thing about a place like Golden State or a place like San Antonio or OKC even. When you get drafted into those franchises, you know you're going to be surrounded with the right people, the right minds that put you in the right positions to be great. And so, um, Darren Peterson is one of those guys from Kansas that kind of makes me nervous because when I watch him, as far as talent and physical ability, he checks all the boxes, but you can't really measure a player's mentality. And sometimes his mentality doesn't seem like he's all the way in, like he's bought in. Now he's finally come out and spoke about a few things of why he couldn't play games or finish games. I think it was like an overload of creatine. He was getting a lot of cramping, but sometimes his body language to me, I don't know. I don't know the kid, right? But his body language to me seemed like he didn't want to necessarily play. And now for him to finally come out and speak on it, I think it means a lot. The other guy on the flip side that scares me is Cam Boozer. I don't know what it is about Cam Boozer. Something about him scares me as far as drafting him so high at the number 3 pick because I can't really tell in the NBA what position he's actually going to play. He's been a big man his entire life, but he seems like an undersized big man, and especially with a topic we'll get to later, positionless basketball, he's not really a threat from the 3-point line. But sometimes you just can't deny talent or somebody's willpower, and that's something that you can't see. And I see Cam Boozer being one of those people that's going to turn into a workhorse and possibly ball out. But those are the two players that really scare me if I'm drafting them in the top 3 picks. But another player that you spoke on that I'm highly fond of, very undersized, but Darius A. Cuff Jr. is a problem. I feel like he was the one like Steph Curry did when he was a freshman at Davidson, put the world on notice like, hey, I am here and I am unguardable. Darius A. Cuff Jr. to me is one of those raw talents that I feel like you can't really put in the back of the top five. And right now he's projected to either go fifth or sixth. Um, just to throw two names out there, I love the front court for Michigan. They got a 7'3" guy over there, Mara or something like that. And then I always butcher this kid's name. I feel like he's a steal in the draft. The other Michigan player, Lindenberg or something like that. Those two guys right there, both the Michigan guys, I feel like will be guys that I will probably want to take right outside of the top five. They're projected to go closer to 10. To me, they're 6, 7 picks easy in this draft, and I might even like trade up to try to snatch one of those guys. Definitely. I don't know what it is I like about them, but I do know I like them to go higher than top 10.
Yeah, no question. And Michigan has a history now of developing really good forwards, really good centers, really good bigs. So what I like about that, when what you're saying, and they all been able to go to the NBA and be serviceable, and that's something that you need to be getting to the league, obviously, to keep a job. You mentioned Cam Boozer. One interesting fact about Cam Boozer is his father, Carlos Boozer, is works for the Utah Jazz, and he's part of their scouting department. So that's an interesting thing there in terms of the Utah Jazz. how does that even work? Does he have those? Is he part of those discussions, or does he just say, "Hey, I'm gonna stay out of this discussion, so there's no bias there." So we gotta keep an eye on that with the Utah Jazz. Will they consider drafting Boozer? Cam Boozer there. So that's something to look at. There with the Utah Jazz. But I think what you mentioned about Cam Boozer, he's not like a Lambo. He's not a Lambo that pulls up to the valet service. He's more so like a truck, like a
A
F1.
Dodge Ram.
Yeah, yeah. He's like a Dodge Ram. Still nice, brand
Yeah.
new, looks good. But he's not the Lambo that makes you ooh and ah. And what I like about Bouger is that he knows how to play the game. Yes, he's undersized. He's not extremely athletic. He's not blessed with the crazy wingspan. But you're talking about a guy that can get the job done. Now, I'm not sure what that looks like in the NBA.
Yeah.
One questions that and concerns I have for Boozer is, can he move his feet defensively? What positions can he guard? Can he guard 5, 4s, and threes? Can he switch out? Can he do those things? But one thing that he has that he's going to have to hang his hat on is IQ. Being one of the smarter players on the court and still being able to get things done. So it's going to be extremely hard when you look at a guy like an AJ, you look at Caleb Wilson, you look at guys like that are, long athletes, with high vertical leaps and things of that nature and those skills levels that they have. It's hard just on the surface to pick a Boozer over those guys. And I like how you mentioned Darius Acuff. I feel like in this draft, I really I like him a lot, and I like him a lot more than I like Peterson because with a cuff, you know what you're going to get. There wasn't anything going on with him outside of just flat out balling at Arkansas. And one thing that, you look at his numbers, 23 and a half points a game, 6.4 assists. So anytime I think we're in an era where it's rare you get guys that are point guards that can get their buckets, but also willing passers, man, willing passers. That means when a guy's a willing passer and is able to get his teammates the ball and get assists, he has an opportunity there to make his teammates better. So I think that, in my opinion, Darius is a top 3 pick. If I have a top three pick, I really consider calling his name. One thing about Darren Peterson, love his game, love his talent, but it was just weird watching Kansas this year, and watching him sit out important minutes of games. I don't know what's going on with the kid. I have no clue. I don't know. It's not a question of his talent. It's just a question of what the hell was going on. I'm hearing about the cramps. I'm hearing about the creatine. I'm hearing about this and that. What was it? It was something there. And the best thing, my advice, big homie advice here to that young man, continue to be transparent. One thing in the draft process, you sit down with teams or you have interviews, just be real in your interviews. I had a really, really good discussion with a GM a few years ago, and I asked him, what are some red flags that you see when you sit down with prospects? He said, when they lie, when they're not telling the truth. He said, a lot of times we've already gathered the information and we're just trying to see if they're going to keep it real with us, if they're going to be honest. And he said that it's not that kids have things going on. He says that fact that they ain't honest. And he said he really loves when a prospect is just like, hey, look, man, I had this going on, and here's why, and this is what it was, and hey, I'm trying to get past it. And that was good for me to hear because I feel like a lot of times we gotta remember, man, these are kids. They're 18, 19, 20, 18 to 21 years old. They go through things, and we've all been there before. We've all made mistakes when we were that age or whatever the case may be. I'm not even saying he made a mistake. If you get in cramps, you get in cramps. If you play ball before, you know how hard it is, especially if your legs is cramping. You use your legs in basketball to run, so you can't do much when you cramping up for whatever reasons. But it's something that was going on there. But you can't deny his talent, and it's going to be a team. And I hope that I'm right here that says, "Hey, despite whatever was going on, we're taking him, and he's our guy." And that's going to be good for him because I think that he's going to be successful. Now, it's another thing though. You got to watch him to see how the summer league goes for him, how his training camp is, and how his beginning of the season starts, because you don't want to now be dealing with the same things like he's going through it again. So I just think that what happened with him at Kansas just became a real red flag for people. But that's why the people in the NBA get paid the big bucks. Now they got to do their investigations and see what was going on with him. But as of right now, just based on what we've seen, I really like a Cuff, man. I think he should be the first guard taken with his ability and what he brings to the team. He's a point guard. He has the ability where we're going to be calling him a point god, man. I really believe that.
Two steals in this draft. And we talked about the Oracle earlier. Hey, OKC is still getting top 10, top 15 draft picks, ever since the Paul George trade. Another guy from Kentucky is Jaden Quintus or something like that. I feel like he's a potential steal in the draft, but my biggest sleeper is the guy out of Tennessee, this Nate. I don't know if you know anything about him, but I feel like he's one of those guys that, especially because he's not going to be a top five pick, the team that lands him, he'll probably end up going to a team that has playoff potential. And those guys get to showcase their talent. They're not asked to be the main guys right away. And it's almost like when you draft a quarterback, like in a Green Bay situation, and he can sit down and learn and play backup for a while. And I think that's the beautiful thing about a lot of these franchises is when they're drafting players, they draft them for the potential, and some franchises are drafting players and saying, "Hey, we're handing you the whole franchise right now, and you're not going to be able to really build around you." Specifically like an Anthony Edwards situation. Anthony Edwards doesn't have a lot of help where he's at, and you see the struggles that he has to go through in the playoffs. But, guys like Jaden and guys like Nate coming out of Tennessee, they get drafted to teams like Oklahoma, and they get to sit down on the bench, for the first like 20 games and just learn and practice. So I feel like those two guys in the draft are the biggest steals to me outside of the obvious names, the top five, top six guys will be named. Keep an eye out for those two guys possibly moving up in the draft, because right now they're outside of the top 10, but I feel like they're definitely players that if they came out next year, they would be in the top five of this draft, man. And you said it earlier, this is a draft where you can't really miss out. If you're in the top 10, maybe even 15, you should be able to draft a player that's going to be in your organization for the next 10 years, man. And I love drafts like this because we're going to be talking about this 5, 6 years from now. Like, hey, this guy is a future Hall of Famer. And that's what I love about college basketball, man. It's a lot of potential and it's a lot of people in this draft I'm looking forward to see. I hope their careers bloom to be everything we're expecting it to be.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you mentioned Nate Ammett out of Tennessee. One thing about him, he's 6'10". He's a 6'10" guy, highly skilled, has a great shot making ability. I would like to see him go to the league and really focus on getting stronger, focus on improving his shooting from mid range, and also being a threat from three. But he's one of those guys that, with his size and his ability, he can really help and affect the team, man. And one thing I'll say, what I love about this draft, man, and I'll say it again, man, you have point guards in this draft. This is a point guard draft. I'm almost
Definitely.
approaching it from a standpoint of an NFL draft when you talk about, hey, we got a really good class of quarterbacks coming out. And we can just talk about the point guards. I'll just mention them real quick and we can move on. But you can even look at Darren Peterson as a point guard, even though he's, a scorer. But at his size, I think he's like 6'2". He's a point guard. He's a scoring point guard. You have Darius Cuff, who we talked about. Keaton Wagler, even him out of Illinois, he's another guy who can bring the ball up the floor, get you into your offense. And one player we haven't talked about that I don't think gets talked about enough, who was very impressive. I saw watched on television several times, is Kingston Flemings out of Houston. He was another one of those freshmen, man. This dude is a baller. He can get his own. You put pressure on the defense, and also he's a really good playmaker. This is what we need more in the league. We need point guards that are playmakers that can make plays for others. And another point guard that nobody's talking about that could fall out of the top 10 possibly or be in the top 10 based on need is Mikael Brown Jr. out of Louisville. I know he had an injury at Louisville, but he's another guy. If you watched him, really, really good guy that can score, and then another guy that can play make. And that's what we need, not just guys that are just trying to score, guys that can get the ball movement. I think we're getting away from ISO basketball. It's all about ball movement and flow, and that's what we want.
Well, I got a question for you before we move on, and I feel like it's a very important question that you posed before we went live was production, right, over upside. Are teams drafting now to way too much draft on what they think a player's upside is. Like a lot of back in the day, a lot of teams would take chances on that guy that was possibly 7 feet tall with a lot of potential. And now people are looking for production. Like, who is the guy that actually put numbers up? Who's the guy that actually produced? Which one do you think is more important for a team? And it's definitely, depending on where your franchise is sitting, but do you feel like teams are drafting too much because of upside or because of potential?
Oh, well, I feel like it's a mixture of both. I think that years ago, it was all upside. Like you would look at the draft and these guys, they didn't have no numbers. But this freshman class, that's the difference in this draft. This freshman class is super talented. Go look at these guys' numbers. They're displaying numbers of guys that are seniors. You got guys in there scoring in the 20s per game. You got these guys that are putting up numbers. So that's why this draft is so good. It's evidence. Your evidence is what you did. Your evidence is your stats. You look at a guy like Darius Acuff, he averaged 23 points a game. You know what I'm saying? You look at these guys and what they're able to do is so that's the beauty of this draft. You're getting upside, okay, and you getting evidence, and those are the numbers. But you always want to consider both. All right, you always want to consider and it's based on situation as well. You talk about the kid out of Tennessee, really good numbers. Not in the 20s, but his upside based on his height and his weight, like he's not there in terms of strength yet. So you're looking at some upside there. So you got to also consider what a guy's ceiling might be, and that's why you have to really dig in the crates there and kind of see and ask the right questions where you want to know. And to me, the best question I can ever ask a college coach when I'm evaluating talent is what his work ethic is like. We keep talking about it on this show. What the work ethic is like is going to tell you everything you need to know about a player and where they could be going. I believe if you work, the game's going to reward you. If you're not working, you're just going to fan out. Your flame's going to go out. So you got to take a look at both. But this is one of those drafts where a lot of these freshmen showed improved, and they were some of the top players in the country.
It was a statement that you made, man, that really hit, that jumped out. And I think a lot of people need to pay attention to this. And this is for a lot of people that don't have game. And I ain't talking about basketball, I'm talking about in life. One of the most important things for me that I learned early as a freshman, I got game from my big homie, is actually a female. She was like, hey, man, listen. Honesty is the best policy. You need to learn how to keep it 100 when it comes to this work ethic, when it comes to talking to these scouts, you need to be honest with yourself and honest with everybody else. That's my big homie advice, man. Honesty is the best policy. Learn how to keep it 100 with yourself and with everybody else, man. Lying, you got to remember what your old lie was to keep up with your new lie. Nah, man, just go out there and keep it 100, man. You're going to feel way better about who you are just being a solid person. Now, with that said, the next topic is one that's near and dear to my heart because I consider myself a true point guard. To the core, to the core. And if you look back in the heart and soul of the days where I was growing up, there weren't too many scoring point guards. And I'm not saying that I don't like Jalen Brunson, but I feel like it's really hard to win a championship with an undersized scoring point guard when your franchise player is a small guard. Allen Iverson was the truth. Never won a championship. But you take it all the way back to the Detroit days. Isaiah Thompson was the truth. To me, he was like the last scoring point guard that actually can go out there and get a W. But when you look at the success of franchises, Utah Jazz, John Stockton, scoring point guard, a lot of success. I'm sorry, true point guard, John Stockton. Kevin Johnson for Phoenix Suns, true point guard. A lot of people don't talk about Rod Strickland or Damon Stoudemire, true point guards. And one of the definitions of point guard, which is why he had such a long career, was CP3. Man, Chris Paul was the definition of a point guard. And right now, we're in an era of positionless basketball, and it's driving me insane. It hurt me. It hurt my soul to have to watch the Houston Rockets without Van Fleet because with him on that team, I know that their potential would really expose itself with him being in a playoff situation because he's just a real point guard. And also, Minnesota Timberwolves. Oh my God, it hurt my soul to not see them have a point guard on the floor. Anthony Edwards just has to work so hard. And so when you saw Mike Conley Jr. on the court, the offense just looked different. It was a different flow. It was a lot of ISO basketball, and it was driving me insane. And then you watch the Spurs with the real point guards, the team just had a way different flow and the game just looks so much easier. And last thing I'll say, because I don't want to get on the soliloquy because we want to swing the show over back to the real voice and Coach Chad Bell. When you look at Detroit Pistons, like as much as I love me some Cade Cunningham, he needs some help in the backcourt. They don't have a number two scorer like that to stand out in the backcourt. And I feel like if they had a true point guard on that team, and I'm not saying that Cade isn't, but he's a real scorer. And so if you're able to get him off the ball and have a player like a AJ Mitchell for OKC, that team is dangerous, fam. So, how do you feel about this era of positionless basketball right now that is driving me insane personally?
Hey, one thing I will say, man, positionless basketball with the right personnel, it can be a beautiful thing. But what I'm seeing is everybody copies and does the same thing. So what I don't like about it is it becomes a thing like it's robotic and everybody's doing the same thing. I believe like when it comes to players as an individual, you should work on your entire overall skill. All right. And that's from, I always start with defense, your foot speed, your lateral movement, your understanding of defense, being able to handle the ball, being able to finish, being able to pass, being able to shoot. But what's nasty to me is when you watch basketball and you got guys that are, 6'10" and above, and they don't have the ability to do anything close to the basket where they just want to spend a majority of their time away from the basket. That's just sad to me. I don't think post ups, all right, should be taken away from the game of basketball. Like we don't see many post ups anymore. Like you watch games and you can watch a game and you can count on one hand sometimes how many post ups you've seen. So what I don't like about the quote unquote positionless basketball, they've gotten away from throwing the ball in the low post and a guy getting close to the basket and being able to score. So I would like to see that added back to the game where, listen, it doesn't have to be a steady diet of it, but we should see more than a handful of post ups per game. All right. It's no reason why you should be blessed with a certain amount of height and size and you don't utilize it. And when you spend time around the perimeter just shooting a bunch of jumpers, there shouldn't be a time where you don't have a player on the floor that's not thinking about offensive execution, getting guys in the right spots, setting guys up to be able to score the basketball. Like I think that sometimes I think it has to be refined, right? Positionless basketball got to be refined in a way and understanding what you're trying to do and what you're trying to create. Because I think positionless basketball gets lost in the shuffle in terms of the player's mentality, where everybody just thinking about themselves and everybody just thinking about how am I going to score the basketball based instead of thinking about how I'm going to execute. I think positionless basketball is fine, but you gotta redefine it. You gotta talk about screening off the ball. You gotta talk about cutting to the basket. Also with positionless basketball, adding once again that post up. All right, I would like to see it where everybody can post up. If you have a matchup, I think everybody should have a post game. But right now, we're seeing little to no post game, especially from centers and forwards. And I think that it's even to the point where it's starting to get frowned upon. So I would like to see um, that come back. And I think that, coaches out there got to start thinking differently. I personally, I miss the days where, the bigs used to battle in the low post. I miss those days of watching, we were able to watch some really good forwards and centers battle, from the Shaquille O'Neals to the Hakeem Olajuwons to the Alonzo Mournings to the Patrick Ewings to the Kevin Garnett's, Tim Duncans of the world, the Dwight Howards of the world. I miss those days, and it's just a sad day where I think positionless basketball has killed the center position. Positionless basketball has killed in a lot of ways, many ways, the point guard position as well.
I would have to agree with you, man. And I kind of understand, the coach's philosophy is because sometimes you're working with a lot of people, a lot of GMs that focus on analytics, and they're saying that this is the way the game is trending and where it has to go. But sometimes, I have to challenge you to be your own man and be a coach, man. Man up. If it's best for the franchise, then go for it. But when it comes to a lot of these kids, I totally understand where they want to have game like a point guard. Like there's tall people who don't want to be bigs, right? And then there's some tall people who are like, I can only be a big. And no disrespect, but Rudy Gobert got exposed. Even on the Olympic team, they had to bench him. And in this last series, man, he was benched, and it was crazy because we, we were literally talking about a play when Rudy Gobert caught the ball in the middle of the paint, and he attempted to shoot a floater. And I lost my mind after he shot that shot. I was like, I cannot believe this guy has no touch at the rim, and he's a big, right? So it drives me crazy when you do see some real centers that are able to play, outside of the paint. And a real center to me is Joel Embiid. He can shoot the three ball. A real center to me is Jokic, Joker, and he can shoot the three ball. But they will go to work in the paint. They will take care of business in the paint. And, I'm not always a fan of Karl Anthony Towns, but when he gets the ball down low, he knows how to have his back to the basket and have a post game. And he can also shoot threes. Victor Wembanyama can shoot threes at 7'3", but at the same time, when he gets the ball in the post, he knows how to take care of business. So there are a few centers out there that have back to the basket game, but also are a little versatile and still can, stretch the floor and knock down some shots. But you got to have the entire bag nowadays. And if you don't, you got to remember something that Kawhi Leonard got famous for. Board man gets paid. Dennis Rodman went out there and got paid for being a defensive specialist and rebounding the basketball. If you're not going to be one of those guys as a three-point threat, you got to be able to do the other two. The other two are a lockdown defender, and I'm cleaning up the glass every single possession, man. You got to find a way to impact the game. We talked about Patrick Beverly a few weeks ago on this show. He found a niche. He found a way to impact the game, and I'm gonna go out here and be a lockdown defender. I'm gonna do everything that doesn't pop up on the stat sheet as well. That's what a lot of players need to do, man. So we see a lot of this positionless basketball, and the topic drives me insane, dog, because I love traditional point guards. I really do. And right now, you've seen a lot of teams suffer in these playoffs because they didn't have that quote unquote traditional point guard. It's one person that I want to give a special shout out to that goes to a team, Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday goes to every single franchise and has an immediate impact. He had an immediate impact when he stepped on the floor at Milwaukee. He had immediate impact when he stepped on the floor at Boston. And then you saw him turn around the franchise really quick over there in Portland. And to see what they did to be able to get a W or two, in the first round, it lets you know that sometimes just one player that's a true point guard can have a huge impact on your franchise. So, yes, I think positionless basketball is one of those things that is hurting the sport, but it's one of those things we got to roll with sometimes because the game has just evolved into that. But still, work on your game. Work on your game. If you're a big man, learn how to have back to the basket moves and learn how to be a threat from everywhere on the court.
Real talk. Well said right there. And I just want to share this young lady. Her name is Lachelle Smith. Her Instagram is I am Gully TV. I just want to share this clip real quick, and we'll talk a little bit more and move forward from there.
What these NBA playoffs have exposed: the problem with positionless basketball. NBA became so obsessed with positionless basketball all because we had a few extraordinary players that were so versatile in their natural positions that it was almost unfair to box them into being called only one thing. So everyone adopted the positionless basketball philosophy when really all we're talking about is players having versatility. But guess what this NBA playoffs is proving to us? Positions matter. When you're watching a lot of the teams that are struggling or have been eliminated, it is because they have players playing out of position and wondering why they have the problem that they have. A lot of these guys who are playing point guard are actually shooting guards. And then you wonder why you have a turnover problem, because traditional point guards are still needed. That is something that this postseason is really proving for a lot of teams. You wonder why your center is struggling. Well, it's because you want your center to be a stretch wing who shoots threes, when really you just need your center to be an actual center who bangs in the paint, who dominates in the post, and gets up on the board to grab rebounds. Sometimes that's all you need. And if you look at the teams that have been eliminated and also look at the teams that are still in the playoffs but showing signs of struggle, you can pinpoint exactly what position they lacked at. It's either they needed a traditional point guard, they have their star playing out of position, or they don't have a true center. I'm telling you, positionless basketball is why a lot of these offenses and even some of these defenses aren't able to thrive, because positions matter, and the playoffs are showing that.
There you have it.
Spoken perfectly, man. I agree 100%, man. It goes to Minnesota, Detroit, and Houston. I spoke on it earlier, and I feel like she hit it right on the nose, man. This is a conversation that you'd be like, hey, let's grab a cup of coffee, and it turns into an hour conversation. Because there's so many valid points in that, man. Like you're trying to force Anthony Edwards to be a point guard. You're trying to force, and I'm not saying that Anthony Edwards
Well,
can't play the
are you saying you want to have a cup of coffee with that young lady?
pause. Don't get. I'm not taking the bait. You know what? If you've watched this episode, you know towards the end, Chad will set me up, and for some reason, every single time I'll fall for the bait. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing not today. At least not this early. I'm not about to get spicy on this show this early. It's not happening. No, I haven't had my second cup of coffee yet. I'm gonna stick to the basics and I'm gonna stick to the topic. And the point is, there are people like Kay Cunningham who I feel like is a true scorer. Yes, I'm getting right back on topic. I see the setup, and I'm not taking the bait. Kay Cunningham,
I'm just saying, I saw the love hearts in your eyes when she was talking.
I'm gonna go there in a minute, Chad.
I'm sorry, I'm
I'm
sorry.
gonna go there in a minute, Chad. I love a woman that can talk sports, fam. I really do. It's near and dear to my heart. If you can talk sports and cook, you pretty much got me in the bag. You got me in the bag. You made cornbread from scratch. And Anthony Edwards and Kay Cunningham, to get back on topic, are two guards that are phenomenal. Need to be off the ball more. They need to play alongside a traditional point guard, and it makes them serious threats. It's the reason why Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is able to shine more so in clutch situations at the end of the game. Could you imagine the wear and tear that SJ would have to go through if he had to play point guard on every single possession? As much as we love to see Steph Curry score, if he had to bring the ball up and set up the offense and run the play on every single possession, it would hurt. And even though he was having beef, Draymond Green was having beef with your boy recently, he's able to run point guard sometimes and take a lot of pressure off of Steph Curry. And Steph Curry also played alongside a lot of a few great point guards, and it helped extend his career. He doesn't have to have so much wear and tear on the offensive end. And I love Luca, I really do. But Luca is a scoring point guard. And sometimes towards the end of the game, fourth quarter, you can see that he's just exhausted because teams now are looking to put him in that pick and switch situation to where they're like, oh, you want to bring the ball up and you want to get all the shots up? Well, guess what? You're gonna have to guard one of our best players every single time down. And come the fourth quarter, it's just a lot of wear and tear, fam. And it hurts your team.
Absolutely. That's where it matters, man. And I think that when you have positions, it puts people where they need to be at. I think, especially in the playoffs, one important factor is rebounding. All right. So when you have your guys down there battling, now they're in position to get rebounds. Also, execution is very, very critical, especially last 5 minutes of games. And when you got guys in the right position and you got a guard that are getting guys the ball where they need to get it to be effective, that's when you're at your best. And I think we're seeing that, like you mentioned, we're seeing that right now with the Final Four of the NBA. The Final Four teams have guys that are doing those things in position, and it's going to continue on, and then we'll see it with our NBA champion.
Because you're a big, I talked about the point guards, you talked about the bigs. Do you feel like big men in the NBA right now are losing their identity?
Yeah, I definitely think so because now they're essentially bigs right now. They're just rebounders, defenders, screeners, rollers. All right, and if I tell people I tell bigs that I work with all the time, man, it's a great time to be a big. Your job is easy. Get in really good shape, set screens, roll and get behind the defense, be a lob threat, be able to catch lobs and finish, be able to offensive rebound, defensive rebound, protect the paint. Also get yourself in incredible shape, like I mentioned. Work on your footwork, being able to switch 1 through 5 if you can. Also, just if you can't switch, being up to touch and pick and roll with the ability to retreat and have good foot speed. Hey, you're gonna play in the NBA about 10 years if you do that. If you especially if you're 7 feet and you're an athlete, you can play in the NBA for 10 years doing that. Gone are the days where you have to actually be able to score in the post. They're not even dependent on you to score anymore. Your scoring comes in the pocket on pick and rolls, getting out early, running in transition, and those things. So it's killing the feature of a big, but also, like you mentioned, Joel Embiid, he's one of the special ones. He's able to, do the stuff, low post scoring, but he's also able to stretch the floor with his ability to shoot, put it on the floor, do all those different things, which is nice. But not everybody's able to do that. And you also said something that was really, really important. Work on your game. So overall, it's all about working on your game. And I'm one to believe from a coach's perspective, if a guy shows that he can actually score on the block, why would you not go to that? Why would you not use that and put that in your coaching bag? Even if it's just, out of a timeout, hey, look, we're gonna throw it inside to the player, and we're gonna play around him, and we're gonna work off him and allow him to get it easy too. Those kind of baskets get your team going, so that's something you can go to. It's no difference to me than when you have elite scorers. Like let's use Kevin Durant as an example. He's not at the end of games just killing teams with his 3-point shooting ability. He's getting it. He's getting the ball off a loop action, and he's getting to his spots and get to mid range. The great Kawhi Leonard, all right, in the end of games, he's getting to his spots. He's getting to his mid range. He's even posting up and hitting fades, bump fades, and things of that nature. So it's no difference to get a big, like, okay, in the games, maybe in the games, depending on his talent level or out of timeouts. Or I love this, and this one thing as a former collegiate big, like I was never my team's leading scorer. But one thing that our coach used to do to get us going sometimes is big so that we can be engaged into the game and rebound and do those things that we need to do for the team to win. Start a game off the very first play, we're going inside. That kind of gets the team going and gets the big going to do his job.
Yeah, man. I love the fact that you mentioned like even guards that have back to the back, basketball game. Kobe was great at it. Jordan was great at it. Anthony Edwards has it. Kawhi has it. And they also score from the mid range. You have to be a triple threat. You got to be able to put the ball on the floor, knock down a 3-point shot. But sometimes, you might get in a situation where you have a smaller guard on you. Post that guy up. We call it mouse in the house at Rogers Park.
That's right.
You get that mouse in the house situation, you got to take advantage of it. But before we move on to the next topic, man, I want to ask you a very important question. And before I ask you that question, I want to bring up Thaddeus McGrew, like always, Mr. Fundamental Coach, right? I played for a high school coach in Pat Roy, who gave me all the heart in the world. Shout out to Pat Roy and Will Harthorne, doing special and great things. Coach John Welch at Fresno State was the first person to really make me focus on fundamentals in an extreme way, like too extreme sometimes, where we had to focus on our fundamentals. Shout out to John Welch at Fresno State. Jerry Tarkanian, rest in peace. I appreciate you. But you play for a high school coach that was not playing about fundamentals. So my question for you, and it's very important, has skill development improved because of this error?
Ooh, that's a tough one. And I'm going to say right away, yes, skill development is proven in so many ways. And here's why I say that. We are seeing players do things and bring creativity to the no. Can I refine my answer? Creativity has improved, but skill level has not improved because
Hey, that's a
creativity
bar. Hey, can you say that one more time?
creativity has improved. Skill level has not improved. The reason why I say this because we see sometimes when we're watching games where the IQ is not there for certain situations, or we see that in certain situations, guys are not able to pick up and read certain things and do the necessary things. So, from a skill level perspective, what needs to improve on is guys simple things. I think passing has to improve. Like we see games where it's way too many turnovers because guys are not working on the fundamentals of passing. I've heard that Coach Steve Kerr for the Golden State Warriors, although those guys are pros in training camp and in practices, they have to pass every day. And shout out to Coach Ed Azam, who I played for at Westchester. He made us do passing every day. Two hands chest pass. All right. Two pass, one hand pivot, pass around the defender, one hand snap pass, bounce passes, full court passing. Those things, although you take it for granted when you're a really good player, but it means a lot. It goes a long way because what happens is when you get in a game, your passes are crisp and you making the right passes. So, but what we're seeing today in today's game, these guys are doing different kind of finishing packages. They're putting certain spins on the balls. You hear about the jelly rolls. You see the Euro step stuff. You see the creative, Steve Nash, same foot, same hand finishing and all that stuff, which is great for creativity. But for me, the fundamentals of the game, has to be there. And I'm not saying it's not in existence, but I think sometimes as a coach and trainer, you got to ask yourself, are you are you giving more into the creativity or and leaving behind some of the fundamentals? Well, I believe you can do both, but you can't leave one behind because that is going to hinder the growth and development of a player and your team, and it hurts the game. We all have a duty for this beautiful game we love called basketball to add to it so that they can continue on and be the greatest sport in the planet.
Hey, if you're looking for some great personal trainers, man, we are for hire. You could fly us out if you could afford it like that. If you're on the West Coast, tap in. CoachCBell is one of the best trainers on the West Coast. Holla at your
In the
boy T.
world, in the world, in the world, in the world, brother. Don't limit me to the West Coast.
We not local. We not just local.
International, international.
He said international. Holla at your
Yeah,
boy Jason
I'm
McKinney.
I'm training some guys from China today in a couple hours.
You
So
gotta
there
look.
you
Matter
go.
of fact, I might post my Chinese video just so I can get my bars up. I try not to post a lot of my
Get
individual workouts because people be out here stealing stuff, but we all pretty much working on the same
still
stuff.
still away. I got more. I got more. And don't ever shortchange yourself, Coach Teddy. You one of the best in the world, man. You're a
Yeah,
one
man.
percenter. You're a one
Hey, I
percenter.
heard that. I heard that. But look, this is a topic that, because we the big homies, we got to dive into it. We're here, the Final Four of the NBA.
Yeah, so like you said, man, we right here, man. Western Conference Finals, Eastern Conference Finals. It's the matchup we all been waiting for on the West. Let's start with the East. All right. And one thing I would say is looking back at the previous series, I stand corrected. All right. I did not expect the Cleveland Cavaliers to be in the position that they're in right now in the Eastern Conference Finals, knocking on the door, trying to get to the finals versus the New York Knicks. I really thought that Detroit would take care of business in the previous series against the Cleveland Cavaliers, and that was a wonderful series. Went out to Game 7 with Cleveland getting a job on the road at Detroit. All right, at Detroit, James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, and company, they got the job done, man. And here we are with the Eastern Conference Finals with a great matchup starting in New York in the Madison Square Garden against the Cleveland Cavaliers, man. And I'm looking forward with this series, man. The series is going to be a really good series. And I think the number one thing now we're in the deeper into the playoffs. It's all about defense. It's all about defense. I don't think, to me, you don't see a whole lot of creativity offensively from teams because they're searching those matchups. All right. You see a lot of screens with the switches and they're looking to attack matchups. And for Cleveland, it comes down how they handle and deal with Jalen Brunson. We know that I believe that the New York Knicks are gonna search out James Harden, getting Bronson to get Jalen Hart. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, James Harden and pick and roll actions. And hey, they're gonna look to attack, man. They're gonna look to attack those matchups, and it's gonna come down to who defends better, who rebounds better. Same thing I've been saying about Cleveland all season, which where I had a little doubt, I had a lot of doubt actually about them moving past the second round was the defensive end. And hey, they're here. And shout out to those guys. They made it here. Shout out to Kenny Atkinson uh, uh, getting that team locked out in the previous series where they won a Game 7. But now, the stakes are higher now. So now it's who's gonna buckle down on that defensive end and guard and get to the next level of the finals and get to the finals.
I want to point out that I picked the Cleveland Cavaliers to win this series because there's a coach I coach with down in Orange County called Coach Leslie, who was giving me the blues over Donovan Mitchell and James Harden. He was like, "How can you pick these guys that are not playoff proven?" That's how he sounds when he speaks. They're not playoff proven. I was like, "Coach, you absolutely right." But I had to go personal. If there's one thing you know about me, I'm gonna bring up the streets. All right, here we go. This might get a little spicy. We towards the end of the show, so let me do it. Let me make it quick too. Coach Bell, have you ever dated a girl? Do you know what the ick is? Have you ever dated a girl that gave you the ick?
I hope not. I don't know what that is.
So the ick is that thing is when you see it or when she does it, and women usually see it more than men do, because men are blindsided. when you see it, it's one of those things you can't unsee. It's kind of like, ever since I saw that or heard that, I just can't look at her the same, man. It almost ruins a relationship. Like I just can't be in a relationship with her anymore, man. Like I hate a bad chick that snores. It drives me crazy. I like, come on, Miss Baddie over here, Miss Hot Girl. Like you over here singing all night in your sleep, and I ain't talking about them cute snores. I'm talking about them snores where
Chopping wood. She chopping wood.
yes, it just gets ugly, right? And you can't unsee it or unhear it. Well, guess what, fam? The Detroit basketball Pistons gave me the ick, and I couldn't roll with them in the Cleveland series because I saw how they played when they were losing to the Orlando Magic. It gave me the ick. It exposed some things that I never saw in Detroit, which was a number two scorer. Also, it exposed the fact that they didn't have anybody who can spread the floor out. So when Duncan Robinson went down, it really hurt them because now we can put all of our attention on Cade Cunningham and nobody else is able to get a bucket. Duran, however you say his name, struggled in the last two series, and I felt like he got exposed because he's one of those big men, traditional big man, as far as the position, but he doesn't really have a post game like that. And he's not a stretch big. He's not going to knock down any shots. He's not going to create a really shot off the dribble, even though his off the dribble game has gotten a lot better. This is why I picked the Cleveland Cavaliers to win the series, is because Detroit basketball, you guys gave me the ick in the Orlando series, fam, and it bothered me to death. Moving on, the one thing that I do love about the Cleveland Cavaliers is that they have depth at the big position. Jared Allen is going to be a main factor in this position. I love the Evan Mobley matchup, and he's able to extend his game and knock down a few threes. And, one of the dynamic players for the Knicks is Karl Anthony Towns. He's a maker or break it player, but a standout player, a sleeper player. Remember this name, and a lot of people know him. Max, how you say his last name? Struess?
Bruce
Max Strus is one of those
out of
guys
DePaul.
that can give you a bucket. He will possibly drop 15 on you in the first quarter. He's one of those lightning type guys that can have an impact on this game. This is going to be a front court matchup. Remember, I said it, a front court matchup. But at the end of the game, it's going to come down to the guards. It's going to come down to the guards and who's going to be able to guard Coco, whatever Coco's name is, Spider. Who's going to be able to guard James Harden?
Did you just call this man Coco?
Called him Coco
That's
Jones.
his wife. That's his
Oh,
wife,
are they
man.
married? Are they married?
I think so.
I think they engaged.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not.
yeah.
Okay, engaged.
Coco Jones.
You called him his fiance.
Yeah, Coco Jones. Yeah, Coco Jones. He's if he shows me something in this series, I'll actually say his name. And I'm gonna wait until game 4 to actually say his name. But I want to see what Coco Jones does in this series because we've never seen him on this stage. We've never seen him on this stage. Now, James Harden has a reputation. Let's see what he does.
Yeah, man. Let's see what JH do, man. Because at the end of the day, we haven't seen, and since he's been in OKC as a young player, him make a finals appearance. And honestly, in the previous series, his game 7 wasn't great. I think was he in the single digits for scoring?
I believe so.
Yeah, so he's going to have to show up for one of those closeout games. You know what I'm saying? If they had that opportunity, man. And I think that I agree with you what you're saying about the guards, but I'm going to have to disagree with you in total. And that's not what people's focus is going to be yet. This series is going to come down actually what they do with those bigs because we don't know if OG Anunoby is going to return. He's been out, and he's had a terrific playoff run. Over 20 points per game. He provides that leadership, that toughness. So with him out, they're probably going to have to insert McBride in the lineup and move Josh Hart, who's the tough guy, in the lineup, and he play a little bit more power forward. So one of the key stats in this series is going to be rebounding. Rebounding. All right. These teams are going to have to battle down there and hit the glass, man. So that's going to be key. Allowing them defensively, allowing for one shot, keeping guys off the glass, man. And if you look at Cleveland roster, that size that they have with Evan Mobley, 6'10", 6'11", Jared Allen, a 7-footer, great shot blocker and rebounder. They're gonna have to keep them dudes off the glass. And I know that during the playoffs, Mobley has had some inconsistencies there in terms of rebounding, but I think that he has stepped it up. The last few outings for the Cleveland Cavaliers, man, and that's a lot of length and athleticism there to be on the glass. So these that like Pat Riley says, you don't win a ring unless you rebound the basketball. So it's gonna be very very interesting to watch, and we're gonna see who's who, who's who. We know the names already, but who's gonna show up because the stakes are high, gentlemen, people. I said gentlemen, people. The stakes are high, so you really find out a lot about a player in games like this, and then we see certain teams have success, certain teams fall by the wayside because of that word, man. That word, pressure. The pressure, man. So, man, I'm looking forward to this series, but one key component is, man, not just the obviously defense with rebounding and the execution, man. And it's gonna be an exciting thing. The series opening up in New York to start the first two games in New York, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be really really fun to watch that series.
I feel like the Knicks are the better team, and I always bring up Jeannie Buss because she's my favorite owner of all times, just because she carries herself in a different type of way. And I always mention I'm mad at Jeannie right now because the Knicks, man, I hate the Knicks in this order. I mean, I don't hate the Knicks like that, but I hate the fact that they have celebrity row. Jeannie, that is our thing. That's the Lakers thing. We have celebrity row. When we are cracking, when we pop in the playoffs, our celebrity row is out of this world. And because we haven't been in the finals, we're not able to see it. It drives me crazy. Where's Jack? Where's Jack Nicholson, right? But right now, the Knicks celebrity row is popping, fam. And another thing I hate about the Knicks, man, that I don't really hate, but I hate the Knicks. Oh my God, their fan base, they don't know how to act when they win. Let them win just one game in the playoff series and they're gonna tear the city up. You gonna see it. They're gonna be
I,
going up in New York.
I,
But one,
I,
one thing I want to bring up, and I'm gonna make it quick because I want to ask you an important question. Mikal Bridges fan, where you at? Where you at? I done brought it up the last three shows. Listen, I keep bringing up Mikal Bridges because five unprotected picks, and I think they first round picks to get Mikal Bridges. What are we doing? They could have had Giannis Antetokounmpo right now, right now. So I'm on your head, Mikal, because you need to step it up. I understand that you're a really nice guy. Nice guys finish last. I don't want to hear about that nice guy stuff. This the playoffs. This the
Hold
playoffs.
on, hold on. Let me calm you down,
I'm
down,
listening.
boy,
I'm listening.
down, boy.
I'm listening.
You owe that man a little bit more respect, man, because you've been on him all
Tough.
playoffs.
Yep.
All right. In that Philly series, he played really well, man. In the sweep, first game, 17 points. Second game, 18 points. Third game, 23 points. All right, solid ending in the closeout game. He had 12 points. So he's been playing better. But I understand what you're saying. He's going to have to step it up and be a factor. It's all about being a factor, and he was definitely a factor in that Philly series quietly. All right, quietly. So you got to give him a little bit more respect.
I'm on your head. You still get no love, no credit because first of all, I don't know what Philly team that was that showed up. That was a disgrace. I'm not happy with the process. I feel like they're still loading or processing allegedly. It's a lot of things. Chad Bell's telling me I can't say on the show, which is why he does a great job at editing because you guys don't hear half the savagery that gets said. Number one. Number two, there are no impact buckets. There are no buckets that matter with Mikal Bridges right now. And I'm gonna get off Mikal Bridges. I'm gonna leave him alone. But just remember,
Nah, do what you do. Do what you do. But hey, I'm a play devil's advocate.
just remember I said it and brought it up. But the one important question about this series that I have that we stand on that end of these series is it where's the series ending? Is it Knicks in 6, Knicks in 5, or Is it an upset? Who do you have? Who are you picking? And I'm gonna tell you right now, and I hate to say it, I'm gonna pick the Knicks, even though I feel like Cleveland has more depth that matters, right? But I feel like just the Knicks are on a roll. They have the better team. They have the better top, probably they're top heavy. They have probably the best, the top six players in this. But I feel like Coco and James Harden could really step up and make a huge impact on this series. I love Evan Mobley as well. So I'm hoping that they really step up and showcase their talent. Why you laugh when I say Coco?
Because you calling that man by his fiance.
Who you got winning this series, fam?
Hey, I'm gonna go. This is gonna be a game 7. I'm gonna go with the Knicks. I think that game, if it goes to game 7, it's gonna be in the Madison Square Garden. All right, and it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be bananas, and I just think that it comes down. I don't think that Cleveland can guard the New York Knicks, and I think the most important player, and we always mention them for the Knicks, Cat. You know, Cat's gonna have to play really, really well in this series. I think he can. I think this is a great opportunity for him to showcase his talent and really have some major games and be a factor in this series and get the Knicks to their first final series in years, maybe what early 2000s. I can't remember the last time last time the Knicks has made it. Maybe late 90s. I can't remember the last time they made it to the finals. But I'm going to go with the Knicks.
I'm gonna have to agree with you on the Knicks. I will say this though. Let me be specific. I'm picking the Knicks to win the series. If it goes to 7, with the way that the Cavs have been playing and they've been battle tested, if it goes to 7, I'm picking the Cavs to win that game 7. I know that's spicy. I know it's a tough, call to make, but I'm gonna pick the Knicks. And just real quick to, backpedal. Minnesota. You guys had Carl Anthony Towns in the building, and he is thriving right now. And here's the crazy part. I feel like you guys are going to need to move off of Julius Randle, and you're going to have to move off of, what's the French guy's name? Rudy Gobert. I feel like you're going to have to move off those two players and, go young and build and probably start over and get some more pieces around Anthony Edwards because he's a franchise player, and I feel like he's a guy that's going to end up retiring there. But yeah, Carl Anthony Towns, man, he's the biggest factor in this series. I'm gonna have to agree with Coach Chad Bell. The Knicks are gonna win this series, but if it goes 7, I'm gonna roll with Cleveland.
Interesting take there, man. Looking forward to that series. Now let's head to the West Coast, man. Let's head to the West Coast. OKC, San Antonio, man. Heavyweights, we ready, we ready, we ready. Pay-per-view. Yeah, let's get it, man. Hey, big dogs about to play. Wimby, come on, Chet. Hey, man, we about to get it, man. We about to get it, man. Looking forward to this series. Here's the funny thing. Everybody's talking about the regular season, how things went with San Antonio, and they did their thing, no doubt. But here's my theory: the MVP, the two-time MVP, he wasn't completely healthy during this time. All right. He might have even missed a game or two of the series in the regular season. I'm not sure. I got to go and look at it. But when he did play, he wasn't completely healthy. He was nursing some things. So all that stuff in the regular season, that's out. And that's a thing of the past. Now you hear. This is what the people came to see, man. This is what the people came to see. So the opening of this series this week, man, it's gonna be blockbuster. It's gonna be blockbuster. Literally post blockbuster. literally, literally. So I'm just looking forward to this matchup. Like I keep saying, what are your thoughts on this series, Coach T. Fletch?
Well, the one thing that you brought up, we do this like preview. We have a small conversation that Coach Chad Bell puts together, and he talks about strategies. And one thing that he brought up was which team will control the pace and the style. You do not want to get into a Oklahoma City type game. The San Antonio Spurs need to control the pace, especially because they have Victor Wembanyama, who you don't run it, won't run it up and down the floor, at a tremendous pace. And the one thing I love about OKC is they can play any style basketball. They can go with your traditional bigs. They can have Hartenstein and Chet on the floor at the same time and be a problem because you got to guard one of those guys. And one thing that Coach Chad brought up is Hartenstein is a great passer, man. He can pass the ball with the best of them, especially from the big position. But when OKC goes small, they are pushing the ball and they are bringing horses off the bench and they don't miss a beat. Detroit Pistons, you need to look into trying to snatch a Lou Dort. He would be one of those guys that would fit perfect on that Detroit Pistons team. I would love to see him on the Lakers. This is a series that I'm gonna be rushing home to see. Like back in the day when Kobe and Shaq were playing, it was must see TV. This is a future rivalry. I'm looking forward to this matchup. I really think whoever wins this series is gonna win the championship. With that being said, as much as I love San Antonio, I will be very specific. If Jalen Williams, not even at 100%, if Jalen Williams comes back, OKC in five.
Oh, that's how you feel?
OKC in five. They're that good.
Man.
And
Woo-wee.
I feel like OKC wants all the smoke because San Antonio gave them the business in the regular season. They did. The only reason why I give San Antonio the Spurs a chance is because of that alien they got over there. Now, do I like their guard play? San Antonio guard play is amazing. I'm not gonna lie. They got that Stephon Castle. Actually, they got guards for days, but it's not the same.
So, yeah, Keldon Johnson, 6 man of the year. Dylan Harper, rookie, point guard. I mean, they got depth too. But
Yep.
it's depth versus depth.
But you got defending champions, two-time MVP. Uh, man, this is the best series right now that we're going to get in the entire playoffs, and this playoffs has been magical so far. It's been wonderful to see. A couple of game sevens have been disappointing, but on just besides that, these playoffs have been dope. I'm glad the ratings are up. The NBA is back, and I'm really looking forward to this matchup. I'm excited about it, and I'm gonna go ahead and say right now, OKC. It don't matter if it go 5 or 7. OKC. That's who I'm picking to win the series. But San Antonio, they got that alien over there, man, and he is a problem. He is a problem.
Alien 1, Alien 2, Alien 3. Okay, C and 7.
It don't
I don't
matter.
care. I don't care what you heard. No disrespect at all. This OKC Thunder team is a machine, man, with so much depth on this team. I know they don't have Jalen Williams right now, but they got guys like Case and Wallace coming off the bench, who's an animal. They got guys like Alex Caruso, who constantly playing with a chip on his shoulder. You got the other Jalen Williams, the light-skinned dude with the braids. He coming in there. He wants some action. They all want smoke. Even the coach wants some smoke. He wants smoke too. You know what I'm saying? He like, what's up, Coach Mitch? You want to check up? Hey man, hey, listen, man. My boy, IH, man, Hardenstein, man. You know, doing this thing, man. So, man, hey, listen, it's gonna be a wonderful series, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I just want to see game sevens on both sides of the series. One of the things that's going to be crucial for the Spurs, Wemby staying healthy. All right, for them to have a chance, obviously he has to be on the floor. He has to be healthy. He's had some setbacks. He had the concussion in the first round. So let's just hope that the big fella stays healthy so we can see this whole thing plays out how it's supposed to play out. Ultimately, I think it's going to come down to I believe that both teams, although they both have depth, I just think that the experience of OKC, they've already been to the mountaintop and got that Larry O'Brien trophy already. And I think they're hungry to repeat. And that experience, man, that experience means a lot for them. And I know that they don't have Jalen Williams, but I think that those guys are so good and they're going to fill in and they're going to play their role accordingly and do well. And I think that Shea, he's always playing with a chip on his shoulder. I think he's always looking for some motivation. And that motivation is that people are looking at that regular season matchup and he's saying, okay, now let's play ball. Let's play ball. hey, let's go ahead and play this out and do the damn thing. And he's a defending MVP, and I just believe that they're the best team in all of the world in basketball.
Because he's a two-time MVP and also because they won a championship last year, I feel like there's a lot of pressure. But because you have the sixth man of the year on the other side, you have a traditional franchise from top to bottom. You have players that are out of this world that are extremely young for the Spurs, and you also have Victor Wembanyama. Which team has the most pressure to produce and win in this matchup or in this series specifically?
Well, I think that it's San Antonio because this is their best challenge yet. They're playing in the defending world champions in OKC. Can they do it? Can they get over the hump here? And remember, for many of these guys, this is their first playoff experience, and they're already in the Western Conference Finals. And I think that you mentioned it earlier, and we talked about it. It's going to be come down to the pace. I think that, like you said, OKC can play a variety of ways, and for them, I think that if I'm OKC, if I'm Coach Denal, I'm focusing on that pace. I want to get the ball. I want to get stops. I want to get the ball up the floor. I want to advance. I want to attack because it's harder to score against San Antonio once you get in a half court setting because Wimby, he covers everything. All right. Any deficiencies that might happen on the perimeter, he already is covering the rim. Also, if you put him in an action, he's going to get down in the stance and he's going to use his wingspan, and that's a tough guard. All right, that's a tough attack there. You know what I'm saying? And his teammates are tied in to what he's doing, and he's almost like a one man zone almost. Even though they're playing man to man, he's everywhere. And then he's also on the glass. He's blocking shots. He's contesting shots. It's like a big ass windmill out there. You know what I'm saying? So you just really have to really like focus on that pace. And I think that OKC that they're able to play fast. All right. Also on the other end, they're going to have to guard him. All right. It's going to be a major challenge for OKC though, because hey, listen, Hardenstein is going to have a challenge in front of him. Also, Chet as well. One thing that Chet does really, really well is rebound the ball and defend the rim. So I think that with that along, and then you mentioned Lou Dort, his toughness, his ability to guard on that perimeter as well, and you got like Cason Wallace when he's inserted into the game, he's another guy that can guard and get after those really good guards for the Spurs. So I think that's where their advantage lies in terms of their depth, and then being able to control that pace and play at a pace. Because once you play at the pace, now you can take away Wemby's effectiveness a little bit defensively.
Who has the most pressure in the Western Conference Finals is the question. And Chad Bell said the San Antonio Spurs. And this is why it's important to listen to this show because we always agree to disagree. It's very rare that we agree on anything. And we were born the same day. We both Libras. We grew up together and we will disagree in a heartbeat because I'm picking the Oklahoma City Thunder to have the most pressure on them simply because they're the defending champions. They have the two-time reigning MVP. And I feel like the Lakers should be, it's championship or bust for them. And so if they lose this series, the everybody's gonna be coming from their head. You know pretty much everybody on OKC's roster. You don't really know everybody. They're not household names over there at San Antonio. Right? You see these players, they can walk by you on the street. You might not even know who they are. But that don't mean they're not ballers. They're bona fide. Hey, they're in the conference finals for a reason. And I feel like these are two matchups that are going to be battling with each other for a while. And it's the reason why you go out and get a guy like De'Aaron Fox is for these type of situations. You're looking for them to produce and you're looking to win an NBA championship now. But I'm going to go ahead and roll with OKC. I feel like the most pressure is on them because everybody's expecting them to repeat. And I feel like San Antonio's like, nah, we have something to say about that. So I'm going to say OKC simply because they won it last year and they got the two-time reigning MVP for that reason specifically.
Absolutely, man. And like I said, we're into the Western Conference Finals, Eastern Conference Finals. We're in as basketball fans, we're in store for some really good series, and it's fun to watch, and we're gonna really see who's who and who does what in these series, man. And once again, hey. Right now, changing pace a little bit. I want to take the time out to give a big homie shout out to Jamal Mosley, who today was named head coach of the New Orleans Pelicans, former Orlando Magic head coach. Really good friend of mine. I consider him a big homie. He's one of the guys that when I first came into the league, I was able to, ask questions and have discussions with him, especially in the summer at the Tim Gergovich camp where they brought in all the rookies. There were a lot of some of your favorite guys are playing now in the NBA. We're at those camps in my early years working in the NBA, and such a great guy. Not just in terms of basketball, really good coach, very knowledgeable, does really well, but he's also a great person, man. And shout out to him getting that opportunity in New Orleans, signing a 5-year deal there. They got a really good coach there, and I think that he's going to turn that franchise around.
Hey, yo, I really hope he does because they're a team that really is betting on the people that they already have on the roster. They don't feel like they're in a rebuild situation, and they're in the West, so it makes it extremely difficult to compete. But we talked about earlier about draft picks, and I said that it matters where you get drafted. It really matters where you get drafted. There have been quarterbacks to go to Cleveland and flame out. There have been quarterbacks to go to New York Jets and flame out and then turn around and have great careers and possibly win a Super Bowl. The Super Bowl MVP started with New York Jets. So you can get drafted to Orlando. And Shaq played for Orlando. Penny Hardaway at the same time. Horace Grant. They had numbers. They had bodies. Shaq was like, I'm out of here. Penny Hardaway was in his prime. Penny Hardaway, if you don't know, look at the history of Penny Hardaway, man. He was one of the most unstoppable guards. Those first 3 to 4 years, Penny Hardaway was something special. And guess what? They probably gonna end up losing Banchero in the next 3 years. Banchero gonna be like, yo, I need up out of here. I'm glad Jamal Mosley got up out of there, man. Yeah, I feel like sometimes it just has a lot to do with the franchise. Sacramento Kings, another one of those teams. I always look back and just be like, what are we doing? What are we doing? So Jamal Mosley, I'm glad that you got another opportunity. You deserve it. One of the shout outs I want to give to one of the big homies is Dino Tanner. Thank you for tapping in, fam. I appreciate you. Inglewood legend. You one of them guards that I used to enjoy watching play basketball when I was younger because I stole a lot of your material and I learned a lot from you, man. Big shout out for commenting and liking the page, man. It's people like you that keep us motivated, keep us going. And both of us actually grew up watching your game, man. Big shout out to Dino Tanner, man. Big homie all day.
Hey, definitely shout out to Dino Tanner, Inglewood High legend, and also Oregon State legend, one of the all-time leading scorers there. I believe he's in the top 10, maybe even the top 5. I'm not for sure, but had a hell of a career there at Oregon State. Big time scorer, man. Shout out to the big homie showing us love on social media.
Hey, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think you understand the type of bond and relationship that me and Coach Chad Bell have. I'm blessed and I thank him every single chance that I can get for being able to put me in this situation. If it's not for him, we don't have this show, man. I don't think you understand how busy Coach Chad Bell is. So for him to be able to take the time out of his busy day, busy Jamaican work style day to be able to do this podcast. Man, I appreciate you, fam. And I feel like, we just getting started. The show is getting better and better. We're getting more likes, we're getting more viewers. I appreciate everybody out there that's liking and subscribing. And as much as you enjoy the show, it's something that's very important that I always got to share with our viewers and our listeners, man. Chad Bell is a very busy person, but my business hours are from
9 to 5.
keep it pushing when you see me before 9 or after 5, fam. It's no disrespect. DM me if it's something you want to talk about or don't.
Yes, sir. And hey, that's our show for today. And we appreciate all our listeners, all of our support. Hey, it's building up online. Continue to follow our content. Make sure you go to our YouTube page, the Big Homie Podcast. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. Make sure you send us a comment. Put us a comment in the comment section. Make sure you share with your family, your friends, your loved ones. You can also find us on Instagram at Big Homies Podcast as well, man. I'm your boy, Coach C. Bell. Appreciate the love. Appreciate the support. And my guy,
TFletch500.
hey, there you have it. And we are out. Peace and blessings. Peace.